Hello, this is Team Dawgsforce, and this video represents part 2 for the administrator. So if you are another role other than administrator, please stop this video now and view the respective video. If you have not watched part 1, please look under the prototype section and watch part 1, which gives a general overview of the system. So if you are an administrator, let's continue by looking at the different forms that you will be completing. So we're going to go through each tile which has been previously described, and we're going to go through what you have to input for each form. So for the client deliveries, this is going to be when you have a specific bundle of meals that's going to be given to a family. You're going to input the family name, and the client has to already be in the system. So if you can't find the client, then that means they have not been inputted into the system. So you would click New Client, which allows you to input information on the new client. And we'll look at that form later. But let's say Rain Matthews is already in our system here, and we are donating to his family. Today's date is the 25th. Let's say the driver's name is Adam Applewood. Next, you have to input the delivery status. So using Slack, you'll know what the delivery status is. If they're not home, you'll select that. If it's successful, then you'll select successful. And if it's successful, the makeup delivery status will be not applicable. However, if they were not home and a Slack message appears, then you're going to click not home, and then you're going to have different options. You can decide to cancel the donation instance, meaning we're not going to try to reschedule. You can change the status to need to schedule, so a date hasn't been set, but it needs to be rescheduled. Redone is it was rescheduled and it was successfully done. So redone essentially is the same as successful. And then scheduled is we've decided on a date, but we haven't had the chance to redo it yet. So for this one, let's say that it's scheduled. And the event notes is an optional field where you can say reschedule set for 11/27 at 3:30 p.m. So you can put delivery notes here. So you'll click save, and that's an example of the client delivery form. Next is destination delivery. So these are going to be the agencies that are receiving the food. You have to first begin this form by entering the destination name. So Our Daily Bread is one, and as mentioned before, same for the clients. If the food destination does not exist already in our system, you need to select that, and the form will appear to enter information about the new food destination. But let's say Our Daily Bread, we're donating to them. Today's the 25th. Let's say we donated 30 pounds. And you'll know this when the donation occurs. And the delivery status is the exact same as what I mentioned before, so I won't go through that again. But let's say this one is successful, it's automatically NA, no need to add event notes, this one's done, you can click save. The next is donations. So this represents when agencies give you food that you need to record as inventory. You're going to input the donor name, which in this case is going to be Collective Harvest. You'll search it as you did before. And then next, these two fields represent requirements of documentation for the Food Bank of Northeast Georgia. So the food bank requires you to submit information about the donation on whether each item is raw material or other. So let's say you have some meat, some veggies, and some dairy, then that means you're going to fill out 3 of these forms. So the number of forms depends on how many of these different food categories that you have in each donation. But so let's look at these fields to kind of get a better idea of what I mean. So for the food category, the donation is either raw, prepared, or other. So if it's raw, then the food type is produce, meats, dairy, freezer, or dry goods. If that doesn't explain what you have, then you might have a prepared item, which is bread and bakery, prepared meals, cooler miscellaneous items, snacks, juice, or beverages. If still that does not describe what you have, you can put other, which is non-food. And after looking at that, now you see if you have some raw and some prepared items, then you will need to fill out more than one form for the one delivery instance. So let's say we have raw meat, and the date today is November 25th, and the time is 2 o'clock, and the number of pounds, let's say, is 30. You're going to record that and click save. Next, we will look at the donors. So let's say a new agency comes to us and says that they want to donate food. So you're going to input the donor name. So let's say Walmart. Their phone number, 706-901-7890. Their address, say 206 or 2106 Epps Bridge. Athens, Georgia, 30606. Their donor status is going to automatically be set to active. The other options are archived, which means they're no longer providing donations, or temporarily archived, which is they're temporarily not providing donations, but they might in the future. So we'll leave that in default and active and click save. Next, let's look at the destination form. These are new agencies or organizations that want our food. So the destination name, let's put, let's say the Atlanta Mission. The address, let's say 2105 Athens Highway, Athens, Georgia, 30605. Phone number, you'll input their phone number. And then destination status is the exact same thing. The only addition here is the on probation is an option. So if they are receiving donations, or they should be receiving donations, but every time we try to give to them, they're not home, that is a disruption to our operations, and you can place them on probation, which basically is just a warning status saying that if you're not home again, or your doors aren't open to receive donations, then you'll be put on probation. So that is saving new information about the food destination. Next is client families. So this form is our most comprehensive form, and we organized it into 2 columns because there's a lot of data you have to record for a new client. The left side is going to be all information about the family, and then the right side is going to be information about kind of how we can serve them as far as their food or meal requirements. So the first is you'll input their full name. So let's say Joe James. And actually, let's say, just for kicks and giggles, his name is Joseph, but he prefers to go by Joe. And for the client full name, you're going to select one person that represents the family. So obviously, a family probably has like 4, 5, 6 people, but you're just going to select the head of the family. So that's what those 2 fields are. And then program, you'll select the program that they're in. Currently, we have kind of dummy data here, but you would add specific programs. Date referred to Campus Kitchen UGA is, let's say, was today. And then the ACCA client referral, let's say, is on the 22nd. This will all be in documentation. And let's say their exit date was just a day later on the 23rd. Their status is going to be automatically set to active, and as mentioned in the previous tiles, there are different options in case, say, the client family temporarily does not need to be served. You could put temp archival. If the family forevermore will not be served, let's say they weren't home enough and they've kind of broken their contract, you would put archived. And then if the family is, the first time they're not home and you want to put them on probation, you could do so there. The date archived is an optional field, so if they're active, we do not need to fill that out. Their address, let's say 204 Pond Way, Athens, Georgia 30506. Latitude and longitude map anything is a feature that is in the current system, so we won't mess with that, but you would input their information there. And then route ID, you're going to search for their route. And so let's say they're route 4. And if you need to view the delivery route data, you can do that above. If you need to add a new delivery route, there is a link to the form. However, this is pretty permanent data as far as the delivery routes go, so you'll probably select one that's already created. The family phone number you can enter here, and if say there's a secondary family member that also has a phone number, you could enter that there. So this is all generally about the family. On the right is going to be how they want to be served. So bag only means that they're only receiving food items in a brown paper bag. Essentially, they are not receiving meals. So let's say this family does want meals and groceries, so you will not select that. The bag tag name is going to be on top of the grocery bag. So let's say James, they have 4 people in their family, and yeah, more specifics on that will be provided in training. So household count is going to be a sum of the adult, youth, and senior count. So let's say, as I mentioned, there's 4 people in the household. There's 2 adults, 1 youth, and 1 senior. So you're going to want to make sure 2 plus 1 plus 1 is 4, just so that the math adds up there. And then if there's any client notes you want to add, let's say Joe likes to be called in the morning, something like that. Diet restrictions, let's say they're gluten-free. And then any meal additions, likes extra napkins or something like that. You can input that information here and then click save. So that form is definitely going to take you the longest. Delivery routes, let's say we are entering a new neighborhood, operations is increasing, and you would input data here for that. You would select the delivery day that volunteers are going to be entering this new delivery route. So let's say Thursday, and then let's say Blue Water is the neighborhood, something like that. The route ID, we're going to add a new route 12, and then we'll click save. The last thing I'll show you are reports. So we have created 4 new reports for you. Let's first look at this first one, client delivery report. Look at this client delivery report. It generally shows data based on the different delivery instances, and it groups it by delivery status. So you can kind of play around with this here, but this is for the delivery instances. The second report is the food recovery, so that's the inventory that you currently have, and it is organized by food category and donor name here. The next report, I'm going to fly through these because you can look through them on your own time, is the food distribution. So for the agencies that are receiving the food, it organizes by destination name. And you can see how many pounds were delivered. And then the food category report is organized by food category, and you can see the donor name and how much pounds have been given here and you currently have. So in general, these are all the different functionalities you have within the admin account, which is a lot. I would recommend just clicking around and kind of looking at your different forms and your different reports before you begin. But we hope you enjoy the system and use the structure here to help you in operations. But thank you for your time and have fun clicking around.